gonna try to keep it together. We're not surprised by the decision that brings us back here today, but it doesn't make it any easier to be here. And although the Supreme Court has formalized its commitment to stripping away reproductive rights in this country, rolling back progress, endangering the lives and livelihood of millions of Americans, survivors, and anyone experiencing the fear and confusion of an unwanted pregnancy. We've been bracing for this moment, and Massachusetts has been ready. We've been ready thanks to this incredible coalition standing here, organizations that saw what was coming and organized and fought, legislators in this building behind us, statewide elected officials, city councilors from city halls all across the state stood up so that at least we would have some preparation for this moment. It is still deeply painful to see this court ignore the data, ignore the will of the people, and impose laws that will ruin lives, end them, while this fringe minority they represent claims to be trying to do the opposite. This isn't about us standing here. This isn't about you or me. This is about whether our children, our siblings, friends, family, everyone we love has the basic right to choose if and when they want to become a parent. Now, there are some across the country who are celebrating today's news as a victory. But the truth is, nobody wins when the rights and freedoms of any community are trampled. The data bears this out. People always have and always will seek the reproductive services they need. This decision does not end abortions, but it makes them far more dangerous. And we know that the consequences will not be felt equally. It's not an invitation to have a philosophical debate about when life begins or religious values. It's not about academic philosophies. This is about life or death for Americans all across this country and the disproportionate impact on young people, on people of color, on people living in poverty, the people who we love. There's nothing pro-life about that. We have made clear again and again as a country where we stand. The majority of Americans have indicated they don't want to see Roe overturned. This so-called debate over whether or not to force someone to carry a pregnancy to term against their will is one that's taking place with a loud but fringe minority and a few out-of-touch justices who've decided that this loud fringe minority matters more. And so they've decided to revoke a critical right that's been upheld time and time again for nearly 5 decades. These judges have no idea what this decision will really mean for the people it will impact most. They've willfully ignored the data, constitutional precedents, and the will and well-being of the American people. I grew up in this country as a daughter of immigrants, sometimes not quite knowing where I belonged, but always with a deep sense of my parents' sacrifice, of what they left behind for the values and vision in this country, for the commitment to make sure that every generation would have better than the one before. It is heartbreaking to see us in a day where my kids and their generation will not know better than before, potentially. And we will do everything we can in Massachusetts to fight, not just for our own kids, not just for our own communities, not just to gird ourselves and brace and ensure that we can have a model of leadership here, but to take this fight across the country, to take our resources, our organizing, our determination that we will ensure the American dream lives on. Justice for all means reproductive justice, gender justice, queer justice. Liberty for all means the all-inclusive freedoms that guarantee every person agency over their own body. Even in states here, like Massachusetts, we must see this decision for what it is, an attack on all of us. This court has shown us already more times than I wish we knew who they are and who they care about. And it's not us. Today, in this moment, right now, whether you think this decision will affect you personally or not, know that our lives are already changed. Nearly 1 in 4 women in our country have an abortion by the time they're 45. Doctors and nurses, lawyers, small business owners, teachers and artists, the family members who lead our communities and hold them together. We have a responsibility to step up, to have each other's backs, not just because it's morally right, but because it is absolutely necessary for all of us to thrive. We all benefit when we stamp out injustice. We are all healthier when reproductive care is available to our communities. We are all free only if we are all free. And as you've heard, we know the impacts of this stretch far beyond reproductive justice. A radical, partisan minority has emboldened the Supreme Court of the United States to erase our progress on a broad swath of issues in this country. They've shown us already they're willing to overturn deeply enshrined precedent in the face of overwhelming public opposition and at the cost of lives. Let us not make the mistake of believing that they won't try to do so again. So, while it's okay to be scared and angry and disillusioned, we cannot stop fighting. We will not stop fighting. Because if there's anything more exhausting than having to battle for our basic human rights, it's letting them go without a fight. If you need hope right now, if you're looking for hope in this moment, look around you. Look at the people who are here today, representing every part of leadership in this state, representing every community, every organization that has been there building in Massachusetts and in Boston. These are not the faces of people who give up without a fight. Boston is not a city that takes our rights lightly. Here in the birthplace of revolution, we have always, always fought for each other. We're damn good at it. Together, we have delivered, you all have delivered in Massachusetts the strongest protections to reproductive rights in the country when the Roe Act passed last year, becoming the first state to legislatively remove unnecessary complicating requirements and barriers to compassionate care. So here's where we go next. The Supreme Court has betrayed its founding principles before. There are many places in our record rooted in racism, homophobia, misogyny. And while many out-of-touch justices have left their shameful mark on our history over the course of these hundreds of years, we will not allow them to determine our future. Here in Boston, in Massachusetts, we will do what we do best. We will fight back fiercely for our freedoms and for each other. This moment does not belong to the far right. It belongs to us, like our bodies, and we decide what to do with it. So together, with this group here, with communities all across our state, across our country, let us meet this moment with the urgency and the courage that it demands.